Right. Got it. G. Got it. HFR on the road. Mistrade. Matt Davio. Market Vitals. The Stream. Sponsored by Manja TV. The Shrimp Mojo. Matt, you shared in the network that cockroach milk is 3 times as nutritious as cow's milk. My question to you is, do they already have mechanisms in place to be milking cockroaches?
Well, according to that article, it's a $6 billion cockroach farm. And yes, they're
wait a second, $6 billion or 6 billion cockroaches?
6 billion cockroaches, and they are milking them and putting them in bottles. And the Chinese love the shit, apparently, Bob. Which reminds me of my time in the Chinese restaurant industry when I worked in the kitchen, and indeed they did love the cockroaches.
Man, we brought that up because I had a little jam session late last night, and this praying mantis was very intrigued in the strumming of the guitar, and
Bug life.
He showed up. It's a bug's life, and hung out. Really enjoyed it. Was checking me out. Like, it's the praying mantises are so crazy the way they follow you and they look at you and they get their hands up like,
yeah, like ready to box.
They're right. You really want to go with me?
Speaking of boxing and praying mantises, how about the bears that I sent you? The bear brawl.
I didn't see it. Where'd you send it?
Probably on Instagram. It was an awesome bear brawl.
Like real bears or Chicago bears?
Yeah, real bears. Like
real bears.
Like hand fighting on twos, the two of them going at it. It was awesome.
I saw a Doberman.
And that's kind of the market that we're in. It's really hard for people to understand bear markets. Like the bears get eaten up, the bulls get eaten up. The bear markets aren't good. They're hard for everybody.
Right on. Hey, Matt, speaking of hard, it's going to be very hard to play with your coin collection.
Right.
No more. What's the date? October. The 1st of October, 2022. Starbucks will no longer accept cash. Rudy is saying boycott Starbucks because, it's a business model decision. I don't know. I think everybody's freaking out on this, right? Because they're like, well, this is the direct. Wait, let me finish my thought. This is the direct step to a central bank digital currency,
correct,
which nobody with any kind of logistical thought process thinks is a good idea, to give the government that much control over your money. So is it a step towards that? I don't know. I watch how much cash they deal in on a percentage basis anyways.
I'm sure you could look it up. And the interesting thing is that actually the thing would cost more, cash or transactions with the card. I don't know. Again, that somebody would have, it's probably better for them to not have cash for sure.
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because if you're paying 1.5% or 2% to the credit card company, does it cost you 2% in labor to actually deposit the money in a bank physically?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'd have a hard time believing that. I know most places would rather have all cash for obvious reasons. And not paying cash at Starbucks is about the 5th reason why I'd never want to go into another Starbucks.
Yeah, when I had the office downtown, I visited Starbucks frequently, but I don't go there.
How could you have done that? I mean, there's so many other good.
Because back then there wasn't, Bob. There was
okay.
There was Looney Bean, which I did all the time, and there wasn't Back Porch, there wasn't Lone Pine, there wasn't Bluebird.
Was there a Dutch Brothers?
They didn't come until much later, 07, 8, 9, somewhere in there. Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible coffee. Their sweets are terrible. There's just nothing good about it.
There's nothing redeeming about Starbucks. I'm not arguing with you.
All right, let's look at the chart, because that's at the end of the day, maybe this is going to really do wonders for their balance sheet, and everybody should be long Starbucks.
Well, it just had a rally again from 68 there in May all the way up here to 90, a rip roaring 50% rally. And yeah, we're right back to where we were, I guess. And, still this chart on a 30 minutes, fairly bullish. If it came back into that,
sure is. Yep.
$80 level looks good to me. But you start fractaling out, and you're like, not so much, right? COVID low 50. We did, kind of stop where they should have here at that first pass. And, again, kind of
It's amazing, Matt, when you fractal, how much the story changes. And I'm going to show that on the standard deviation modeling in the SBUX in particular.
Yep.
And why it's so important to understand what time frame, what fractal you're trading, because every fractal has a little bit different nuance of the strong hands and the weak hands. And now when I look at that one, I mean, I think if you're a portfolio manager and you got Starbucks on the books, man, that's a great place to be.
Might be
Especially going forward. Like, who wants, I mean, McDonald's is going to do more dollar coffee than Starbucks is going to do $5 coffee going forward.
True.
I would think.
True.
As people get squeezed.
Yeah.
We always, when we've looked at Starbucks over the past, we've always brought up Dutch Brothers, our Pacific Northwest friend. How's Dutchy looking?
Well, I think we talked about it recently, but
yeah, we did, but let's jump back into Dutch Brothers.
We can take a look at it. Bros, BROS, again, peaked up here, went from 20 all the way.
We don't see it yet.
Okay. Bottomed at 20 recently, and got up to just about 52 on this spike here, but that was earnings related and been selling off pretty seriously since. So that earnings spike got you up here to 52, squeezed out some late shorts, I guess, from down here. And
again, when I'm looking at that chart, I like the story, but I think I'd want to be patient on it.
Yeah,
and maybe buy that double bottom.
Yeah, maybe exactly. Maybe down at 20 or 10. I don't know. Everything. I mean, it's got the problem is it's got a $6 billion market cap. That's not a small number, right? And although they're growing, with retail does get hit here. I mean, I would think people would cut back on their $7 slushies, but I don't know. What do I know? I don't go there. I don't get the $7 slushie to begin with. So, but they sell a lot of those sugary slushy drinks that the kids pour down. And I get, and I guess maybe their market doesn't go away because those kids, have their sugar addictions and they keep going. I don't know. There's a lot of ways to look at it, but chart doesn't look too bullish to me right now. As a matter of fact, if it loses this area in here, it's very likely going next step 30. So you got, they're at 38. Probably looks like 30 will be tested. If 30 doesn't hold, 20. That's kind of what it looks like. It just ran up to the top of that zone on the 610 chart, was a good sell area. So again, if you had been riding it from the 20s, when we did say buy down there at 20, by the way, if you had been riding it, that's a good reason to sell.
Anytime I always say, if you do not take money at a point of control, once you move into a bigger
really
profile,
that 45, 48 level, I would have been gone before. You're right. Exactly. So,
and then again, if you don't take the rest of it or almost all of it off at the top of that meaty, perfectly distributed profile, you're not doing it right.
Right.
You're not doing it right. You got to capture the money.
Yep.
The whole idea is to capture the money.
All
right, Matt. Let's talk about the elephant in the room that nobody seems to want to be talking about. This is from FX Hedgers. Fed's QT to hit full stride with central banks shrinking 9 trillion portfolio. September, October will be largest declines for bill holdings. I mean, they basically said.
I don't know how to read that, but okay.
Well, if you're under the opinion that the market and the inflation of asset prices was due to the Fed, then this is the reverse of that. I mean, it can't be any other way.
I thought they weren't buying assets. Now they were buying assets. So, okay. Yeah. Like Warren just said, I would like to see their trading books. Is it it's probably just like Kathy's, right? They're going to puke at the bottom.
We've said it the whole time though. I mean, if they're just, I don't know, it's just liquidity in the system. Warren, we've said the whole time, if the Fed isn't trading this, they're doing it wrong. I mean, it's like they should be trading it. They should be shorting this whole rally.
But I think that's an interesting point. I think it's an interesting point that Warren brings up. If the Fed is even though it's not a government entity, if it were supposedly, and they're saying stuff like this, shouldn't they be sharing their transparency on their book? What assets do they hold? How do they hold them? How long have they been in them? Shouldn't we have access to that as the tax unfortunate, we're the ones that gotta foot the bill for their policies. Shouldn't there be some
Well-
transparency in this supposed full stride QT? Like what do you have on your books? What do you own? Why is it that the Fed can have a massive hedge fund, but the hedge funds have to report all their holdings? It's curious. I find it a curious, interesting piece, I guess.
Yeah, where transparency goes to die, the Fed's
Mhm.
balance sheet.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. Let me share for a second because I want to talk just a little bit about nuance, and I want to talk about the trader's dilemma or not doing it right trading. When if you were long this market, right? And the daily for sure has rolled over. Let's go there first. The daily, it's completely rolled over. Lower sloping potential, lower momentum. The weekly, actually, they flattened out 13,826. And we talked about the monthly yesterday again. Terrible looking chart, right? Terrible looking chart. But you're doing it wrong when you hunt for the time frame that tells you your story, right? You're like, here's the 3-day. Look how good this chart looks. And it does look good. But if this lower momentum level, upward sloping 39.23 doesn't hold, now you have no time frame to run to. And we've talked about it a lot, how the most dangerous thing to do is put on a trade from one time frame and then start adjusting risk on a time frame that you think looks better for your opinion in the market.
Yeah.
Very dangerous way to trade.
Style drift. Style drift
is exactly the word for it. So all you bulls that don't think this was a bull or bear market rally, for me, the 3-day is their only story that you can tell right now that still has some hope and some sheen on your story.
Yeah, 3,900's been my number, and again, I think kind of that we've had a 10% sell off already on the Nasdaq because we were at 13.7, so 13.7 down to 12.2. So we've already had over 10% now in about a week. And for the S&Ps, what did we get up to? 43? What was the number? What was the high on that, Bob? 43.
The high there was here on the 43.27.5.
So 432 points basically gets you to 3,900, and I think we'll see a bounce at that 10% level. If and again, that kind of matches up with the 3,900. So 3,900 was kind of a number in my mind where we could trade to before we're going to get a little bounce. Again, it's not that easy to just be short all the time. And again, when this thing was going up mid-August, I was saying short. Now it's down. You got to take profits, right? But so I'm just saying, if you've been short and listening to us for the last 2 weeks, now is the time to take some profits down here into the 3,900 level, because you've got a fat 10% gain. And again, the indices crashing like that in less than 2 weeks at the end of the month into the end of the summer, don't be a greedy pig. Take profits, okay? Because
exactly.
Again, I think this 3220 level will hold probably the first pass, just because we've gone down so sharply so fast. So now is not the time to be crushing your shorts. Now is the time to be buying, covering those shorts, and considering maybe getting long down near 3,900, if that makes sense.
It does. All right, Warren's sharing us with the Fed balance sheet, how they're presenting it, an article. We'll share that inside marketvitals.io inside the network for sure. Thank you, Warren.
Yeah, thanks, Warren.
Matt, we got when's the end of baseball season? It's got to be getting here.
The first week of October is the last week of the regular season. Always has been.
So we still got a month.
Yeah, we got
It's amazing.
We got a full month of pennant races. What are we looking at? I haven't looked at it.
Here we go. Yankees.
Yankees been struggling. They've been struggling again, 5-5, which is decent compared. They again lost 3 in a row though. Tampa Bay, I wouldn't count them out winning that division. I would not count them out. Even Toronto. They're still in it. Cleveland, Minnesota, White Sox battling for the worst division in baseball. The Tigers won't be there.
The Tigers a smooth.
I was way off, by the way. I said they'd be 500, 81 and 81. So they need to win 31 of their last 34. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. So I'll take the loss.
They're 6-4 in their last 10, so they're not going to quite get there.
I'm just going to say.
And then there's such a shitty division. They're actually only 18 games back.
Anyways, I'll take the loss. They're horrible. Seattle, they just signed their superstar. They locked him in for forever. He got like a $600 million deal if it all works out for him. Wow. I mean, the guy's played like 8 months. He's 21. And how does that work? How does a 21-year-old get a contract like that in his first year? I thought free agency took some time, but new rules, I guess. The Mets and the Braves, I mean, look at those two teams. I mean, Houston looks solid. St. Louis is kind of pulling away from, your Cubs are done. We already said that last time we talked about it. Milwaukee's hanging on, but they're struggling. Dodgers are just romping.
The Dodgers are just, 8-2, 89 wins, far ahead of the field.
Look at the thing you got to focus on with the Dodgers. Look at the run production and the runs against, Bob. 400 runs against. So pitching is outstanding. Look, because see if anybody has anything close to 400. Nobody in the National League does. 480, 428, Houston. That makes sense. They got a good staff. This is shaping up. Possibly Yankees are decent. 450 is not bad, but the runs against for the Dodgers, Bob, 400 is the number that sticks out to me, along with the runs scored, 686. This team is, if they're not the favorite for the World Series, I don't know who is. Now they got to play the games, but that team is stacked. There's no, but
those two metrics are so much better than the whole rest of every team.
Everybody. So, even with a little slippage or some failure and some pitching, your hitting makes up for it. You know what I mean? I just don't see a lot of weaknesses unless the whole thing just falls apart and they both can't hit and pitch. If that happens, obviously, we're all wrong here, but it's pretty wild. And so you got the 3 winners and then you got 3 wild cards. So you got 12 teams that make the playoffs now. We were talking about this before. So that makes it a little bit more exciting for the fan base, I think. You got the Yankees.
And it's not the one play-in game that seemed so ridiculous.
Yeah, they've extended the start of the playoffs so that will be a good thing. I agree. That'll be a good thing.
All right, man. All right. And your Dodgers for sure, but who else do you like? You had to do the Quinella.
I think you got to like Houston. I think you got to give, Houston, Mets. And if I was going to pick 4 teams, yeah, I would go LA, Houston. I'd probably take the Yankees and I'd probably take the Mets or the Braves, and those are my 5 teams. How's that out of the 12?
Right on. Bingy, bingy.
So,
all right. What else you got, Matt? What else you got? Anything else?
It's again, dog days. We're going to hundreds out here in the Pacific Northwest again this week. So it's hot.
Well, we had 68% humidity here in the Midwest.
I'm sorry.
I was like the Wicked Witch of the West. I nearly melted down just right into the ground. Yeah, no bueno.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna bring up this news because I find this to be utterly ridiculous. Did you listen to or watch any of the Rogan Aaron Rodgers interview?
I did not. I heard it was great though.
Yeah, I would recommend people listen to it. Critical thinking again has been lost on much of this world, but this came out today after that, and I just find it it bugs me. It really bugs me that this shit is continuing on and the virtue signaling. Unvaccinated NBA players will be tested weekly, COVID tests this season, and
why not everybody?
Correct. Why not everybody? And I'm sure if there's a good lawyer out there that is being presented, because this seems totally bogus. And why, if somebody's jabbed and they don't have symptoms, why do I, and I don't have symptoms, have to be tested? Like, that makes no sense to me. None. That on top of, Djokovic not being able to play. I'm boycotting the US Open. I'm not watching it. I refuse to watch one point this year because it's just the double standards are redonkulous, and I refuse. I
Bingo.
refuse. So goodbye, U.S. Open. You already had a problem. Nobody was watching your game. Now nobody's really watching because who cares? Your best players aren't playing. Federer's not in, and you denied. And I have a feeling Federer also, by the way, who hasn't played during COVID. I know he's had injuries, but I bet you he's not vaxxed. He just doesn't want to be in the middle of it right now.
That would make sense to me too.
Yep, it does, because he's healthy after not playing for this long. Give me a break.
Right, exactly.
Something's going
It's not
on
hard to put those two things together.
Not hard.
All right, good luck to the Fed as they unwind their balance sheet.
Well,
supposedly.
apparently they're selling like Kathy Woods and just dumping everything all at once.
Interesting though, because we talked about, they said they had telegraphed this, and we were talking at least a month ago how they said they were going to do this, and yet they were still expanding it every day.
Right.
So again, all of these things on top of each other, I just don't see how this market holds in through the fall. The structure of the chart is really rolling over and looking negative, especially as you fractal out. So
All right, so I'm going to throw out something. I am, even though you like to call me the don't, I don't think this fall is going to give you the sell off that you're thinking. Here's kind of what I think. I don't see us going below 3,200. That would be the worst this market could get. So we're at 4,000, go to 3,200, another 20%. That's all I see. I see this market actually, be rough this fall, but not much beyond that. And then from there on, they're going to start cutting again. Whatever they do now in September, they raise. They're going to reverse course, because they'll start getting nervous when they're down there at 3,600, 3,500, 3,400, 3,200. They will save it. And then from there, Bob, I think we will double. I think we will double between now and the next 5, 6, 7 years.
How refreshing is that? The don't just said that. Did everybody take notice?
Well, I'm just saying we could go from 3,200 to 55 to 62. That's kind of where my work shows. And that all has to do with the fact that there's nowhere else for money to go in this world.
Right. And as we pointed out yesterday, the dollar looks.
And again, that's just macro. That's just a macro view. And I'm wrong. If it gets below 32,000, 3,200, then we're going to go much lower. But that's kind of the line in the sand. You got to watch that 3,200 level. We're at 4. I mean, shit, we just sold off 350 points in 3 days. So, don't get too bearish. Again, don't get too bearish at the wrong times. Just because the Fed speak, follow your charts and just keep it in front of you. Keep whatever is in front of you moving, and don't use these macro views in your trading. You can't.
Right on.
Today.
All right, Matt, thank you.
Today's been nothing but again, if you're a 15-minute chart viewer, we've been in a downtrend since the European Open. We peaked up there at 680 or so, right on the European Open, and we've been going down since. So, we're down now in the NASDAQ. We're down 680 to 312. We're down 300 points. So just don't get too bearish at the wrong times is all I'm saying. We've been selling off for a lot of time here now in the last few days. And I don't know, all this news is negative. I don't know how much more of it, is going to really push it down. There's no earnings coming out. We're at the end of the month, beginning of the next month, et cetera, right? And
you did say that the Market Vitals direct link, which has our sheet, was helpful again today in your market preparation.
Yeah, I was looking for the short to work until 270, 13,270 on the NASDAQ, and went right pretty much to the number. I got to like 69. So if you were riding that short down, that would have been a good exit and probably a good area to start nibbling on the long side. Which from that level, we actually bounced 130 points. We went up to 1234 real fast there, and then now they're trying to put in maybe I'll be curious to see if they can get a rally into the close today. The bonds are actually continuing upward here. They have been since 7:30, so it's been a solid 2.5 hours. Nobody's talking about the bonds creeping off the bottom here. And we are, again, the bonds roll over here this week, right? So we're starting the Z contract basically September 1st. So keep that in mind.
Christmas.
Keep that in mind. The ZBZ is going to be your front month.
All right, beautiful.
So that we did make a new low in the bonds, but I think you have to kind of be respectful with where this market is. And I think the bonds might be a little overcooked and might be, seeing some type of rally here at some point. And they are already. So it's not significant, but it's, we're up 20, we got down to 136.03. So we're up 22 ticks already. And, the indices and the equities are still trying to put in a bottom. How's that? And oil, by the way, today got schmeezed again, all the way from 98s all the way back here to 91. Another again, we keep talking about this violence. So let me just bring that up real quick since we're here talking about the crude, Bob. And crude again went crude all the way down here to 91, 90.50. And again, looks to me, this is a crazy shoots and ladders game going on here, right? Maybe the Fed unwinded some of their gold or their oil holdings yesterday, or they're continuing to. Maybe they're trying to help out the market here. I don't know. But they took the shit out of that thing, Bob. And if you look at the longer term charts, again, nothing really has changed. We've been talking this 85, 95, and we kind of broke out of it. So, if you want to buy it, these are the times. Like if you do believe that oil prices are going higher in the fall and the winter, these are the types of sell-offs I want to buy. After it had made a move to a new high, it's just coming back into the middle, right? 90.50. That area right in there was almost perfect. So I took a little nibble in the 90s, and I'll buy more as it goes down to like 88. Here there's still plenty of people interested in owning crude in this area. Nothing really changed. We had a fake breakout. Again, it didn't last long, one day, and then whoosh. So but again, oversold. We go from 98 to 90. That's a 10% move. These are huge.
I keep telling people that these markets are like none we've ever seen. These moves huge are moves. Insane in these giant liquid contracts, supposedly liquid contracts, supposedly, right. But where's the liquidity with all the money washing around in the system? You would think there'd be people ready to step up and 10% in a day, in this global 100 million barrel a day global market, it seems impossible. If you told somebody that 15 years ago that crude was going to have 10% days, they'd be like, no chance.
Without war.
How about that? Well,
because back when you had the Iraqi, Afghan conflicts, all that, Iranian conflicts in the 80s. Of course, oil was moving big then, but now it's moving like this every day, and it's pretty astounding. It's pretty again, take profits. You get that kind of move to the upside. We were talking about it yesterday. Now it's probably a good time. If you bought it at 85, take some off, for God's sake, right? Because that's a huge move, 10% in any time frame. And if you're a trader and you're trading shorter time frames, you better be taking those profits. These are just monster moves, right? Just monster moves.
All right. Anybody with anything else in a chat? Any other symbol? We got time for a couple. Otherwise, I'm gonna go be with nature, one with nature. Right? Yeah. One with nature.
Mm-hmm.
CRK. Lee, welcome to the broadcast. Lee was late. Somebody get out the demerit list and demerit Lee. CRK.
No idea.
Comstock Resources. I'll take it, man. I'll take it. Hold on. CRK.
If it's Lee-like, I know it's not going to be anything I'm going to be interested in. So
I don't know. You might be. Let's give a heck, Lee, if you got it on and you didn't take profits near that, well, they actually didn't get to the double top. So I would forgive you for not having taken profits. But here, let me bring it up. Comstock Resources. This is a 3-day look. I mean, it looked like it wanted to be explosive here and take out this the double top here, 2197-ish. But certainly is not acting, it's not behaving today. If you're long this, it is not behaving. And much like the 3-day in the S&P, Lee, for me as a standard deviation modeler here on the daily, if the 1772, the lower momentum level sloping up doesn't hold and they close below it and round these bands fully, you cannot stay long this thing. And you might be able to be patient and wait once they've rounded it for a retest of maybe this trough here, the big down day, the big up day, somewhere around 1975. But again, now you're hoping because once they round the bands, you're fighting City Hall. When you're opposite the slope of the bands, you're fighting City Hall. That's just all there is to it. And just like it did over here, once it rounded it, I mean, Katie bar the doors, man, it fell away and it respected that lower momentum level all the way down. So that's what I see. 1771 would be my line in the sand, and monitor that level on a daily basis. Again, if you're watching and you join us at marketfunnels.io, if you join the community, we will give you the scripts for this standard deviation modeling inside trading view, and also the profile modeling inside trading view, which are two of the, I'm not kidding you, I've been around doing this a long time. They're two of the most powerful scripts. You can tell me about Keltner bands and emoji channels and, this, that, and I mean, there's thousands of them. Let's, if I pull up the indicator list, it's hundreds deep.
Here's the thing, looking at this chart for me, Bob, I'll take a stab at it. It's obviously oil based, and it's, energy, material, oil and gas production. So it's a bearish today, right? That move to the double top there and failure is ugly, but if oil keeps going, it'll reverse again. So I don't know.
I do when I look at the profile,
I wouldn't touch it either way. It's just too thin for me. It just doubled in the last 2 months. So it probably got out ahead of itself again. And, again, I probably, if Lee would have brought this up yesterday, I probably would have sold it and put a stop in about 22. So damn it, Lee, because you could have made me $3, but you failed to present this name to me. And this is how it works, right? This is not a name I follow regularly. So,
right all right. I know you do follow Microsoft, and Mark has asked for that. Let's look at Microsoft, and then I got to get out of here.
Microsoft, nothing new. I'm bearish. Nothing new. The rally happened, and I got bearish on the time. Again, the timeline worked perfectly. August 15th, we said sell all tech stocks. Period. That was a 2-month rally. 241 to 294. Making new lows here. Making new lows. Just going down. Going down.
All right, fractal out one more. Oh, that's actually
this is 610. You don't need to see it. We're going lower. On. Yeah, we're going lower. I mean, you want to look at the daily? It's going lower. The COVID low is 134. So,
and the point of control is
down here to 12 on the daily. Yeah, you just had a great sell opportunity to exit stage left. Trend lines all showing the same thing, all breaking down. So new lows on the day, by the way. We're just making new lows.
All right, that's it. Please visit us at marketfunnels.io. Please share, retweet, plagiarize far and wide the broadcast. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mark, Lee, Matt, Warren. And we'll be back tomorrow for another segment. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.